They called him guilty, but she called him innocent. And what happened next, no one in that courtroom saw coming. The room was packed with reporters and onlookers waiting for a young tech millionaire to fall, when defense attorney Monroe Green quietly closed his briefcase and said, "I withdraw from representation, Your Honor." Gasps rippled through the crowd as Ethan Brixley, just 26, sat stunned, accused of a crime he hadn't committed. Then a small voice broke the silence. "I can defend him." Everyone turned. It was an 8-year-old girl in a too big borrowed dress, beads in her hair, standing up from the third row. "My name's Amara Johnson," she said firmly. "And I know he didn't do it. He saved my brother's life 2 years ago." The judge froze, unsure whether to laugh or listen, but something in her voice stopped him cold. Reporters leaned forward. Phones went silent. Amara stepped forward, trembling but fearless. "People say he was there, but he wasn't. My brother was part of his mentorship program. We had nothing, but Ethan gave us tablets, Wi-Fi, hope. My brother was going to college because of him, until he died. Nobody else will speak for Ethan, so I will." The judge leaned back, eyes softening. Ethan sat speechless, his wrists cuffed, staring at the little girl who'd just done what even his lawyer wouldn't: believe in him. Outside, chaos erupted as her words went viral. But inside, the truth hung heavy in the air. Hours earlier, Amara had skipped school, leaving her sleeping grandma behind, clutching a backpack stuffed with news clippings about the man she admired. Now, in front of cameras and strangers, she had stood up for him. When Ethan was led into the waiting room later, still in cuffs, he looked at her in disbelief. "Why would you do that?" he asked softly. Amara smiled faintly. "Because you didn't do it," she said. And for the first time in weeks, Ethan felt something he thought he'd lost forever. "Hope, yes I do," she said simply. "You helped my brother." The deputies exchanged glances as Ethan looked up, stunned. "What's your name?" he asked softly. "Amara." "I'm sorry about your brother," Ethan whispered. "I didn't know." She nodded, like she'd already expected that. "You gave him something nobody else would. That means something." Before he could respond, the deputies pulled him toward the door. Amara sat clutching her notebook, heart pounding. If the judge let her speak, she was ready. She'd memorized every detail, every date, every piece of evidence. But she didn't know that by standing up for Ethan Brixley, she was walking straight into a storm bigger than she could imagine. Before the handcuffs, before the cameras, Ethan had everything. He wasn't born rich. He grew up in Bakersfield, the son of a single mom working 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. When he was 15, he fixed a broken laptop someone threw away. That old machine started everything. By 19, he'd launched his first app. By 24, he was a millionaire. By 26, a name people whispered alongside: genius. His company, Linkbridge, changed lives, connecting underprivileged kids to mentors, scholarships, and futures they never thought possible. But good headlines don't last. 3 months ago, a fire tore through an abandoned warehouse in St. Louis. Inside, police found Victor Hale, Ethan's corporate rival, beaten and left for dead. An eyewitness claimed Ethan was there. His phone pinged near the city. His rental car appeared on a traffic cam. A safe full of hidden cash sealed his fate. Sponsors bailed, investors vanished, and overnight the people's billionaire became public enemy number 1. The indictment hit hard: attempted murder, conspiracy, assault. Ethan swore he was innocent, but the world had already decided. Only his lawyer, Monroe Green, stood by him, until that morning. Now he sat in a holding cell, praying someone, anyone, would still believe. The door opened. 5 minutes, a deputy said, and there she was, Amara. Small, brave, her notebook hugged to her chest like armor. "How did you even get in here?" Ethan asked. "Judge said let her talk," the deputy shrugged. "This is insane," Ethan muttered. "Why'd your lawyer quit?" Amara asked. "Because I wouldn't lie," he said quietly. "He wanted me to say I was there. But I wasn't." "Then why'd they say your phone was?" "I don't know," he sighed. "I think someone set me up." "Who?" "I wish I knew." Amara flipped open her notebook, filled with clippings and scribbles. You gave kids laptops, you paid for school, you helped people like us. You don't sound like somebody who'd beat a man half to death. Ethan smiled faintly. Tell that to the world. I will, she said firmly. Because I ain't lying. For the first time in months, Ethan felt hope. Small but real. Why are you doing this? He asked quietly. Amara looked straight at him. Because nobody believed my brother either. When Malik died, they said he was just another gang kid. But he wasn't. He wanted to build apps. He wanted to work for you. Nobody told his story right. So I'm telling yours. The deputy tapped his watch. Time's up. As Ethan was led away, something inside him shifted. Someone finally saw him as more than a headline. Back in the courtroom, cameras rolled as Amara stood ready. Miss Johnson, the judge said, you are not licensed to represent anyone here. I know, she said quickly. But please just hear me out. The judge hesitated, then nodded. 1 minute. Make it count. Reporters leaned forward. Amara clutched her notebook and spoke. Everyone says he did it, but the math don't add up. His flight left LA at 7 p.m. He didn't land until after midnight. That warehouse is hours away. He couldn't have been there. The crowd stirred. Even Ethan looked shocked. And if he didn't gain anything from hurting that man, why would he do it? But Victor Hale, he had a reason. He was about to lose a huge deal to Linkbridge. If Mr. Brixley went to jail, Hale's company gets that deal back. Murmurs filled the air. Objection, the prosecutor barked, but the judge silenced him. Enough, he said. Time's up. Amara bit her lip and nodded. Thank you for listening. As she sat down, the judge's expression softened for the first time. Court recessed again, chaos erupted, and hashtags exploded across the internet. Hashtag free Ethan, hashtag kid lawyer, hashtag who is Amara. But Ethan didn't care about the noise. He cared about the little girl who believed in him. Outside, as the sky turned orange, Amara reunited with her worried grandmother, Joyce, who scolded her between tears. You can't just stand up in court like you Perry Mason, she said. He didn't do it, Amara whispered. Joyce sighed, hugging her tight. Cameras flashed all around them. Across the street, a black SUV idled quietly. Inside, a man watched through tinted glass, phone pressed to his ear. Problem, he said. That night, Amara sat on her bed, TV replaying her speech like a movie trailer. Joyce sat beside her, voice soft. Baby, why does this matter so much? Amara stared at the peeling paint on the wall. Because he cared about us. About Malik. Nobody else did. Joyce's eyes glistened. You think helping him's gonna bring Malik back? No, Amara said softly. But maybe it means he didn't die for nothing. Joyce sighed, pulled her close and whispered, You got more heart than this whole city. For the first time all day, Amara let the tears fall, while across town Ethan lay on the hard cot of his jail cell, staring blankly at the ceiling as her words echoed in his mind. Somebody lied. He believed her, but who? His thoughts froze when the guard appeared, saying he had a visitor. Ethan's pulse quickened as he entered the room and saw a face from a past he thought was gone forever. Trevor Maddox, his former best friend and co-founder, now smiling with cruel satisfaction. Their exchange cut deep. Trevor confessed to framing Ethan, cloning his SIM, planting evidence, and selling him out to Victor Hale in revenge for being pushed out of Linkbridge. The betrayal crushed Ethan, but across town Amara couldn't rest either. The news replayed her courtroom moment again and again, yet her instincts screamed that something was still missing. As she flipped through her notebook, she found Trevor's name linked to old Linkbridge files and recent meetings with Hale's lawyers. Proof of a setup. The next morning the courtroom was chaos. Protesters, reporters, flashing lights, and tension thick in the air. Ethan entered, broken but resolute, and Amara met his eyes with a silent promise. Don't give up yet. When the prosecutor smugly began to close the case, Amara stood again, clutching her notebook and begging the judge for 30 seconds. Her voice, trembling but fierce, revealed Trevor's connection to Hale and his secret flight to St. Louis, the missing piece. The courtroom erupted as the judge recessed to review the evidence, and when he returned, he ordered Ethan's release and a formal inquiry into Trevor Maddox. Cameras flashed, people shouted, and Ethan finally exhaled freedom. Amid the chaos, he knelt before Amara, whispering, "You saved me." She smiled softly. "No, you saved my brother. I just finished what he started." Later, as they left the courthouse through the sea of reporters, Ethan asked why she never gave up. Amara looked up and said the line that would echo across every news channel. "Because when the world calls you a liar, somebody's got to remember the truth, and sometimes that somebody is a kid." Days later, Trevor was arrested, the headlines flipped, and Ethan sat in a tiny kitchen in East St. Louis, eating fried chicken with Amara and her grandma, laughing for the first time in months. It wasn't about fame or money anymore. It was about loyalty, truth, and the courage to speak when nobody else will, proving that even the smallest voice can change the world.